These are the steps to follow to install the L200 fertigation system by Turf Feeding Systems. First, evaluate the site and irrigation system. The pump enclosure should be mounted near a 115-volt power source for the unit and near the irrigation controller. The controller must have a master valve or a pump start terminal to start and stop the fertigation pump. The next step is to mount the pump enclosure on a wall near the irrigation controller and power. Next, install the discharge tubing from the injection valve to pump. You should connect the black 1/4 inch tubing to the injection valve and run it back to the fertigation pump. If it is a short distance 5 to 10 feet, you can use the conduit included to run the tubing inside to protect it. If it is a longer distance, you should run it in a 1/2 inch PVC line as a sleeve, and it can be buried as it runs below ground. Next, you should install the injection valve in the irrigation main line downstream from the backflow device. We include a 1 3/4 PVC T with the half-threaded connection for the injection valve. If your line is bigger, you will need to purchase one. Thread the injection valve in the T using Teflon tape to seal it, and cut the main line and glue the injection valve T into the irrigation line. If it is below ground, you should install a valve box over the injection valve and trench back to the pump. Next, install the discharge tubing from injection valve to pump, running the tubing into the enclosure and run it to the top pump valve in a loop and cut the tubing as shown. Install fittings on pump by sliding the clamping nut on the tubing and then slide the bushing on, then push the end barb all the way on the tubing. Then slide the bushing back to the barb. Then thread the fitting on and tighten the clamping nut tight by hand only. The O-ring on the valve will seal, so no Teflon tape is needed. Install the suction tube to tank. Install the suction tube on the lower pump valve the same way, and run it to the tank or container all the way to the bottom. And cut the end and install the foot valve on the end and drop to the bottom of the tank or container. Last, connect the cable wires from the master valve terminals in the irrigation controller to the control terminals in the fertigation enclosure. It is a 24 V AC voltage signal that starts and stops the pump when irrigation starts. Consult your irrigation manual if you have questions. Now that it is installed, you can scan the QR code on the door to calculate the rate setting for the pump. Then you can prime the pump with fertilizer and start fertigating.